Welcome to the Pleasure Program. My name is Holly.
I'm Victoria.
We're two licensed therapists specializing in sex therapy. Tonight we are reacting to some Reddit posts and we are just going to give our 2 cents. When I saw this, I was like, I have to read this. So the title is Allowing My Husband to Have Sex with My Best Friend. I'm in a pretty unusual situation. I have incurable cancer. My husband and I were in our late 20s, early 30s.
Oh,
I know. Got married when I was very ill, and we thought I would die soon afterwards. A couple of years later, I'm still here, but not cured. Couldn't give you a good estimate of how long I now have left, possibly 5 to 10 years.
wow.
That's a really big jump from
Yeah.
we got married, we thought I was going to die soon, and
Ugh,
then I might have 10 more years. Just noting that. It's a
yeah.
really big. I wonder if anyone who has experience with themselves or a loved one with cancer, if like that can happen. Like they say, you don't have much time and then you might have a lot more time. Okay. We don't regret getting married and we are a very good match for each other. We are very much in love and have a great sex life. But we do have to be realistic about my lifespan and about what he does with his life after me. We have discussed him dating after me and even him getting married again. I fully support this and want him to live his life free of the shadow my death will bring. I've even suggested mutual friends that he might be a good match with. I think it's my way of thinking he'll be okay when I'm gone. So, on to the situation. One of my friends, 35-year-old female, has repeatedly said she finds my husband hot. I don't find this problematic in itself, and my husband takes it as a compliment. Said friend is a virgin. My husband, like many men, has something of a virgin fetish. Without getting overly analytical about his caveman brain, he's not proud of it, but I'd say he feels it more keenly than others I'm aware of. Y'all can probably already guess where this is going. We, all three of us, have started discussions about my husband taking my friend's virginity. I'd be happy to think my husband and my friend could make a go of a relationship when I die. I think they'd be a lovely match. Obviously, this won't happen until I'm dead. But should I take into account the fact that my husband wants to take someone's virginity and agree to them having sex whilst I'm still alive? It would be a one-time thing, and it would mean my husband wouldn't just miss out, my words, not his, on being her first. This is my first monogamous relationship. All of my previous have been non-monogamous. They've ended badly, and I do think having multiple sexual partners at once was a reason for that. Nothing against it in principle, it just didn't work well for me. So what do we think? Am I crazy for considering my husband having sex with my friend to scratch his virgin itch and to possibly pave the way for something after I'm dead?
Wow. Oh, that sounds so complex, right? Like there's so many feelings with that like anticipatory grief, of her, facing her own mortality and him facing life after her. And they've had so many conversations of what his life is going to look like after her. I
Hmm.
can see why they're maybe blending that into the present, especially I don't know if she mentioned that if he had a polyamorous lifestyle before her, but she did.
Yeah, that's a good point. She doesn't mention if he
Mm,
um, has experience with polyamory or non-monogamy.
right.
Hmm.
So even though we don't know if he has, she has. So I definitely wouldn't think that she's crazy for considering it, right? Like once she's considered polyamory in the past, right? Why is this different? And if
Mm-hmm.
anything, this adds more layers to maybe consider that because she's already talking about him being with other people and feeling really um, involved in that process, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I have a very strong no reaction. I think this is a bad idea.
Oh, no, as in don't do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, as in, like, let's not do this because, okay, she's dying. And I do think there is, first of all, like, I think it takes courage to face that, accept that, and to make plans for when you're gone, okay? There's a reason why I'm a sex therapist and not a grief specialist, okay? This is not my area of specialty. This is not my forte. In all honesty, it breaks my heart too much to think about doing this work, but we have colleagues that specialize in this work, and like I fully admire them for doing that. And so from connecting with colleagues, we know that like part of the grief work when someone is dying is to think about like their legacy and what they want to have in place for once they're gone. That's actually really healthy, and from what I understand, it's a good thing that she's thinking about that.
Yeah.
This might be taking it like a smidge too far. Like we're like cutting to the chase here, and like she's like arranging a marriage pretty much for her husband. And I think it sounds like there's a couple of things here. She wants to really send the message that she wants him to move forward and wants him to find love again, and doesn't want him to be alone, and doesn't want her death to like take that experience from him.
Yeah.
That we might be like, I think, jumping way too far ahead. Like he also is going to have to grieve. He's going to have to like be on his own for a minute after she dies, and will need to process that and move on and find love again. But we can't do it now. You haven't died yet. And I think that her like openness with having been experienced non-monogamous relationships, that like that's kind of influencing part of this. Is like, hey, we've been here before. I've handled my partner having sex with other partners, but like I would be so worried about, because she's had bad experiences with that, that's going to taint what you've got in your time left with your husband. Like that, it's too risky. I think it's too risky just because he wants to like be with a virgin. Okay, that's fun. That's cute. But like, it's not more important than protecting and preserving your marriage while you're here. I don't know.
It just feels so complex. Like I agree with you, and at the same time I'm so curious about why this is so important to her. Like of course she loves him, so she wants him to do well after she's not there, but like you said, like maybe she's focusing even more than other people might be. So I'm so curious about that. Is she just that much more compassionate, or is it like a helpful distraction? Is she carrying guilt, because guilt is easier to feel than helpless, and so she's focusing on that? It just seems like there's so many layers here to answer whether or not this is a good idea. I mean, I don't think she's crazy for considering it.
I don't think she's
crazy for
considering it. I just think it's a bad idea, and I think you should consult a therapist. You should consult a grief specialist, like someone who specializes in grief and the death and dying process, before you make any big moves like that.
Yeah, I think so too. And with her history with non-monogamy, and not knowing if he has a history with non-monogamy, like they said in the post, they didn't anticipate being married for very long. So if they're going to be married for another 10 years, maybe they weren't anticipating being with one person for that long, right?
They're like, till death do us part was not supposed to take this long.
But maybe that's true. And so maybe they're both open to having another partner sooner, and maybe she's
okay. I mean,
I don't know.
All right, another 10 years. Okay, let's say it goes bad, right? Let's say it's like, okay, that was a fail. Like that did not go well. I'm not loving that. Like if she lives for another 10 years, one would assume you could move forward. I guess, maybe there's some other questions to be asked here. Like, do you want to be in this marriage for another 10 years? Like, is that, I mean, it certainly sounds like that's what her intention is, and that, but, you have to ask yourself kind of where they were at. What state of mind were you in when let's get married knowing you're going to die and die very soon?
Right.
and then that all change, like that prognosis changes. Does that, would their
Right.
decision have been different? Um, but they say they
Right.
don't regret it. They say they don't regret it, and we're a very good match. They have a great sex life. They're
Yeah.
very much in love. So,
And
yeah.
I'm curious why the non-monogamy went poorly the other times. She did
Mm,
say having multiple sexual partners was part of it, but we don't know anything beyond that. And we do know that sometimes people will open up relationships to try to save it, to try
mm-hmm,
to fix it. And that's not when you should be opening up a relationship or engaging in polyamory, right? Like if you're going
mm-hmm.
to have like a primary relationship, that relationship should be solid with a foundation prior to opening it up.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of layers there too, where just because it went bad before, maybe not this time. I don't know. You're on the camp of no.
I just, I think it's too risky. I think,
Yeah,
this life we live is precious, and she knows, like, her time is
you're so right
limited.
about
They're
that.
so young that, like, really,
Oh
and I'm
yeah.
sure she's asking herself this. I'm sure they both are, like, how do I want to spend my time, the
Mm,
rest of my time here? I also think it's like, what friend is like making comments to your dying friend that
yeah.
your husband's hot? What, really? I mean,
Mm,
all right, sure he's hot, but like, really, what are you trying to do here? This is like,
I know. Did they
I,
even say whether or not she's open to that? Did
the
they
all
even
three of them are
the
started having
Oh,
discussions. All
okay.
three of
Okay.
them started having discussions about this. Oh,
Wow.
like, doesn't she find that to be a little risky? Like, you wanna get involved here? I don't know. It
I
feels
don't
like
know.
it's a risk, even at, it's always a risk. There's always some element of
Yeah.
risk. It's not a risk free. I mean, nothing, few things in relationships are risk free, but it really has to be done so carefully, and
Yeah.
um, that I just feel like there's so many other factors here.
Yeah. I'm curious what comments we'll get about this one because we're kind of in different camps. Although you feel very strongly about it, and I don't think I have a strong opinion. I think it's like, ooh, this is too complex to
This
have a
is a
strong
lot.
opinion about.
I
Yeah,
know. I do, and
for me, but I like that you have a strong opinion about it, and
I
I see where you're coming from.
I'm not like opposed to non-monogamous relationships. Let me make that clear.
Yeah,
I just think, based on the limited information we have,
yeah,
it sounds too risky for me. And you know, I think maybe they could explore this with a professional before
yeah.
a decision is made, because there might be some underlying reasons, like you mentioned. Uh,
Mm,
is this a fun distraction from the very real reality that
mm,
we're in? And maybe you need a fun distraction from a very grim reality that I'm
mm.
not going to live much longer. Um, but do we want it in this way? It is the question here. So, yeah, I would love to hear from our viewers what your thoughts are about this.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. If you've enjoyed hearing two sex therapists give our thoughts and feedback about these situations, consider subscribing, stick around, join the community, or just share a comment below. What are your thoughts? Can you relate to any of these situations? Do you have any opinions here? We'd love to hear from you.